Ice cream.
What? No.
Ice cream
No. No way. No way.
Ice cream is one of my favorite
no
desserts.
Way. No way.
Personally,
No.
I love chocolate.
No.
And I love cookies and cream.
No way.
Cookies and cream is actually my all-time favorite dessert. But I understand that for some of you, your favorite flavor is vanilla.
Just one second.
This is actually going to be a classic one.
Was fair in turret.
Who the fuck was that? Crush him! What the fuck?
Need more rounds, more rounds, more rounds, more rounds.
Fuck! That's the fucking 50 DKP minus!
Classic's coming back, baby. It's a dream come true. I'm amped, I'm hyped, but I'm also really concerned. You see, it's been a roller coaster ride up to this point. Back in November of 2017, we got the big announcement, and we've seen the community rise and fall, go up and down, discussing certain topics or gameplay mechanics that needed to be recreated in order to recreate this authentic vanilla WoW experience, right? And from the get-go, we had hashtag no changes in order to preserve the integrity of the game. Let's do a quick overview and then we'll jump straight into the discussion. So the deal is, Classic is being recreated on an updated 8.0 client rather than its original 1.12 state. That means Blizzard has had to try and backtrack and replicate everything the way it was in patch 1.12. The goal is to recreate an authentic vanilla experience. I'm not going to go into detail over all the minor changes we have in Classic compared to vanilla, such as certain attack animations, incorrect values or numbers that pop up on the screen, maybe some bigger notes such as the lack of progressive itemization or talent trees, but that's debatable as to whether it should even be implemented or not. Or if you really want to start pushing the envelope, gameplay mechanics or values that are just straight up wrong. But listen, that's not the point of this video. On the most recent stress test, I had one of the craziest, greatest, memorable nights of my life. Or in other words, just another day in vanilla WoW. You know, I could explain it, but just roll the clip. Check this out. For the Horde! World PvP. Now this wasn't just any World PvP experience, guys. Allow me to set the tone and tell you about another memorable night in vanilla WoW. It was Sunday night and I decided to run Wailing Caverns and Dead Mines with some of my friends at level 15. It was super challenging and consumed about the first 6 hours of the gaming session. We spent over 3 hours in the Dead Mines and wiped so many times we had to repair our gear in Moonbrook, and then by the time we came back the entire instance had respawned. When it was all said and done, we didn't even complete our Dead Mines run. I was disheartened, a little let down, disappointed, all of the above. And we had a World PvP raid planned, but at this point I was so discouraged and out of energy, I didn't really think it was going to happen. I'd have to fly back to Orgrimmar, amass some troops, make the 20-minute run back to Westfall, and then hope it was at least a mild success. So I said, screw it, I'm going to go check out Citadel Hill anyways, I'm not going back to the city. And to my surprise, there was already a war going down, and we dominated. Eventually, my small raid disbanded, and I thought that was the end of it. So I'm running around the graveyard and actually found some more Horde members, and they say, regroup in Moonbrook. Then, all of a sudden, I get a whisper from my man, Atticus. What? My dude, the person I do Goodnight Azeroth with once a week. It just so happens he was leading one of the 5 raid groups in Westfall at that time. Totally by chance, we didn't plan this thing, it just happened. This is the hook, line, and sinker. This is what made the night of August 11th, 2019 memorable. This is what I remember vanilla WoW being like. Running into friends or people I knew in-game, or more commonly people I'd met along my journey, and this one just happened to be both. This is vanilla WoW and the reason why it is king above all other MMORPGs. This is the experience new players are gonna miss out on if we have 3 or 4 or 5 or, God forbid, 10 or 20 layers on each server. Community is the #1 reason we are all coming back. Yes, vanilla WoW gameplay mechanics and its progression are like no other game on the market. it is a good game by itself. That's why millions have come to experience the masterpiece that vanilla is. But the reason we all stayed is because we saw Little Billy or Johnny or Huggies in the starting zone at level 1. We saw the same familiar faces from levels 1 to 60. We ran into them in capital cities and we saw them in the open world. We recognized members of each guild on our server, and the same goes with the opposing faction. Server identity, familiarity, kings and peasants, the difference between that one guy who posts up by the banks in capital cities and begs for gold, and then big badass Pat mowing everything down that stands in his way. I want to recognize these guys, and I should. That's how it was back then. That's vanilla. The recipe to the secret formula is already written down. It's been done before. Now, a few ingredients may have been tossed or swapped out for Classic WoW 15 years later, but you cannot take the vanilla out of vanilla WoW. Say, bro, what you eating? Just some good old-fashioned Bluebell vanilla ice. Don't fix what ain't broken, know what I'm saying? Shit, you gotta throw some layers on that cream, brother. Layers? What's it taste like? Man, it's this new microfiber technological Oracle Treacle Glucosian advancement they just came out with. It's like whenever you first get a taste of it, you go into tunnel vision. You get sucked into your own world and don't have to worry or deal with anyone around you ever again. It's great. Alright, hand it here. Give me some. Alright guys, seriously, this whole layering ideal's been a pain in everybody's side since its announcement. You know, I'll be honest, I too once was okay with it if it just lasted during Phase 1 and never came back again. Until my experience during the stress test August 11th, 2019, I got a taste of that glorious vanilla and re-experienced what I've never encountered in any other game than vanilla itself. You know, I'm sold. I'm in it for the long haul. But what about all those new players who don't know what Vanilla WoW's all about? And they level from 1 to 30 the first month with a full-blown layering system implemented. You know, the exploration and the questing may be cool, but if they're swapping in and out of 20 to 30 different layers that entire time, they're never going to understand the term server identity. They'll never recognize anyone they ran into during the leveling process, either on their own faction or the opposing one for that matter. And when they go to the city, they're just going to see hundreds of new faces every visit. It would be meaningless. Layering breaks servers apart. Stop layering 2019. Guys, what is layering and why is it in Vanilla WoW? You know, I'm okay with everything else they got wrong or chose not to replicate. You know, it's literally impossible to recreate the way Vanilla rolled out between 2004 and 2007, but you can't just add sharding or layering or whatever the heck you want to call it to Vanilla WoW and expect the experience to be the same. It's literally the worst thing that could happen to the game. You know, they always talked about new MMOs coming out that were going to be the WoW killer, and they never happened, right? And everyone always said WoW's the only thing that can kill itself. And you know, it eventually did, and sharding or layering, if you want to call it that, is one of the biggest contributors to that fact. Why is layering so bad? You know, I wish I knew to the extent that layering was going to be enforced, and honestly, I wish I knew what the heck layering even is. That's part of the reason I'm so concerned and even taking the trouble to make this video. Originally, it was advertised as a new robust system that would replace sharding and allow mass amounts of people to play on a few servers at the same time while still feeling like you were on one single server. You know, sharding to my knowledge was shards of 50 to 100 players interacting with each other at a time. Layering is supposedly supposed to hold 3,000 players at a time on each continent, meaning if you have a server with 12,000 players online, you could expect about 4 layers to be active, which isn't terrible, but it still gives you like a 1 in 4 shot at seeing your friends while you play, or more commonly, that same person you encountered the other day in Ironforge or Stranglethorn Vale. Can you imagine 4 separate economies coming together after layering is over? 4 servers worth of resources being thrown together as one. What about 4 servers worth of unique items, such as the Arena Grandmaster or the Title Charm? 2 huge items in either twinking or in-game scenarios. This diminishes the value of these items, again, taking away the server's identity and the recognition of the few players who were to own these items. Now, you heard me say 4 layers, right? Try more like 20 layers. A server. At least, that's what I'm coming up with, considering the current realm situation we have at the moment. The economy is going to be absolutely screwed and diminish the value of all the herbs, nodes, and leather in the world. Like, professions are going to be useless. One of the great aspects of vanilla, the only time professions really made a significant impact on the server's ecosystem. The market will be flooded with ore, and everyone's going to be able to just buy all the mats they need to max engineering right away. Imagine a World of Warcraft like that. Look at this, guys. 12 servers, 1 RP PvP, 4 PvE realms, and 6 PvP realms because they just added a server during the production of this video. Now look at the population of those servers. Bear in mind, this is 48 hours after they were released for name reservation. Full, high. Like, look at this garbage. 12 servers for Classic WoW North America. Now let's do some math, guys. And honestly, before I dive into this, this is the reason why I'm concerned and why every single one of you who care about Vanilla WoW's integrity should be as well. Like, the numbers, they don't add up, and I've been puzzled about this layering, sharding stuff since day one. Is it too far-fetched to say that there will be 1 million active players in North America on Classic WoW servers for the next 3 years? A measly 1 million? I think that's a super conservative number, so let's begin with that. 1 million divided by 12 equals 83,333.33, repeating of course, players on each server. 80,000 players a server, give or take a few, so you could probably expect at least 15,000 active players during less popular hours and upwards of 50 to 60,000 players during peak hours each server. Now forget layering and queue times, 50 to 80,000 players collecting resources and pumping gold into the server's economy. It doesn't make sense. What about the last 3 or 4 years of private servers? They had servers of around 10 to 13,000 players sometimes on some of the more popular ones, and people raved about how much different it was than vanilla servers. At 10,000 players a server, it's impossible to quest in certain zones without dynamic respawning. And even if that is implemented in Classic to the extent that questing is viable, imagine the impact that has on the economy. It speeds up the entire progression of the server, literally one of the most beloved and praised attributes to the secret formula that is Vanilla WoW. Like, the developers in 2004 purposefully made enough servers to make the average server population between 2,000 and 10,000 players online at a time. No more than that. This is of course to control the economy and make sure the progression stayed at a steady rate and wasn't accelerated or hindered too much. Also, 50,000 players on each server after layering? Is that even possible? Now, I know the World of Warcraft's big, but it's not that big when you've got 50,000 players in it at once. Like, would you even recognize half the people you come into contact with during the week? Now look, if you think I'm just pulling your leg or blowing smoke, let's take a look at the original Vanilla WoW server list. Can you guess how many servers were implemented in 2004? 89 flippin' servers, and that doesn't account for the tens of hundreds that were added in the following years as the game grew more popular. No layering system, just a massive amount of realms with server caps in order to manage a stable, healthy server. Now, I know layering's supposed to counteract the influx of tourists, if you will, and avoid having to merge unpopulated realms down the line, but there's alternative systems you could implement to ensure low queue times on launch day and still preserve integrity when joining these realms together after populations wither. But no reason going down that route, we're getting layering regardless. I just hope that Blizzard realizes how detrimental this is to the vanilla gaming experience. Maybe I'm just missing something. I really don't know. And you know what? That's the only reason I'm up in arms over this topic right now, because we literally don't know. Here's the current situation. 12 near full NA realms 48 hours after name release. Damn. 7 English European realms. 2 German speaking realms full. And these are the majority of players. I just don't get it. How many people do you think are waiting till release to renew their sub? And how many more people do you think are going to come back and play indefinitely, as well as new players who get introduced and hopefully experience and fall in love with the same game that we all did back in the mid-2000s? Honestly, if Blizzard was just a little bit more transparent about the mechanics and current situations, everyone wouldn't be so tensed, because I imagine I'm not the only person who's thinking like this right now. Look, if there's anything constructive that can come out of this rant, here's a few practical things I'd like to hear from Blizzard in order to ease our mind, or at least allow us to choose a server which is going to provide us with the experience we're hoping to receive with Classic WoW. And first of all, can we get like an official statement on how layering's supposed to work? I think that 3,000 population a layer was an estimate thrown out kind of loosely in some interview, but I've seen nothing close to that on any of the stress tests this summer. I will say this last one was one of the closest representations to that. I maybe saw 200 Tauren in the starting zone with me as soon as I logged in, but that still doesn't feel like that 3,000 a layer. I'm just afraid we're looking at 15 to 20 layers on launch. But I mean, then again, Blizzard may have some hard set rule that only 20,000 can enter a realm at once on launch, creating only like 6 to 8 layers each server, which is still super concerning to me. What about maybe some transparency on server sizes and what medium, high, and full populations mean? This would seriously help everyone who's trying to make a decision on what realm to play and coordinate with their friends. Also, how many players are going to be allowed to fill each realm after layering is gone, so we can estimate the possible queue times we would face if we were to continue to roll on these high pop servers. It's just kind of annoying and frustrating. Come on, Blizz, help us out a little bit. And man, I don't think it's crazy to assume Blizzard might be running Classic WoW 1,000 miles per hour towards a brick wall with the current layering realm situation. This is one of the only issues on the table right now that is so far gone, so different than vanilla WoW, that it could have consequences that ruin every single server's economy and pace of play. Like, do they even believe what they say? I'm not even trying to be a jerk, but from what Ian Hazukosta said on the Classic WoW panel, I didn't think we'd get to this point with the whole layering issue. And 12 realms compared to 89? Blizz, come on, man.
When it comes to authenticity, that's not just about things like weapon skill and crit and crushing blows and all that. It's also about the community. It's about the social dynamics that are part of what defined WoW Classic. We understand that that is a key part of the experience, and anything that might threaten to undermine those dynamics is something that we need to be very suspect about, and again, use authenticity as our guide. Even if it might seem minor at a glance, those small changes could have large ripple effects that would change the way players related to the world and to each other.
Listen, I'm only putting this out there because I care about the game and its community. It's important that we know some of this information in order to plan out the best Classic WoW experience for ourselves. Ultimately though, I don't know what data Blizzard's looking at. Obviously, they know more logistics about what to expect in Classic than we do as the fan base. It's just a really unique, weird situation where the community knows this game is kick-ass and it's gonna explode. What we know as a community is we need more servers and less layering. And if not handled correctly, the future of Classic WoW could be in some serious trouble. I will give Blizzard some credit though. This last stress test felt pretty solid in terms of the community of players around me and ensuring that we have a successful Classic WoW launch. Now, our terms of an authentic, successful Classic WoW launch may be different, but you gotta choose your battles. It's really hard to get upset about Classic WoW with it less than 2 weeks away from launch, but this needs to be discussed. Guys, I'm so thrilled. I can't wait to get back in there. Again, this video was inspired because of what a great experience I had in Westfall on the stress test this last Sunday, and I hope that we can guarantee those experiences the first few weeks or month of Classic with the whole layering system and lack of enough realms. I hope I did this topic justice. If you think I did, please drop a like, share the video with your friends. I want this topic to get as much exposure as possible, so Blizzard has to address it. I know people live streaming every day have been hitting this topic and everyone's trying to do their part, so I hope I did mine. If we get 1,000 likes, I'll do a live stream where I eat an entire gallon of vanilla ice cream in less than 10 minutes. Hopefully that'll get us started on the hype train and we can ride that bad boy into Classic. Guys, thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below on the whole round pop layering issue. We'll keep the conversation going. And I'll see you boys in Azeroth. It's your boy Tauren Druid on the Herod PvP round. Where you at? It's your boy Graysfordays. Out it.